Hey guys, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. So a few months ago, I made a video talking about my working experience, where did I study animation, and I received a few comments about people who were concerned, about motion capture. They think that eventually the technology will advance, and so the studio can actually produce a lot of animation with great quality. Okay, where the body movement is basically perfect. They can track finger, face expression, and everything. And they think like if they reach that kind of level, there is no job for the animators. The animation industry will suffer. Okay, so they were actually concerned about this. I think maybe because they wanted to start to study animation, and they could see this as potential risk. So I want to give my opinion about this. Short answer: I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I will tell you right now more in depth why. So overall, guys, you have to think that motion capture was mostly done to produce more content. Okay, it's not just about to replace animator. If you think about video game, especially a lot of video game AAA title, they have like hours, like 10, 15 hours of cutscene, and if you consider gameplay animation even more, when you have this huge amount of content, definitely it's not something you can do with the keyframe animation. It's basically impossible. You would need like 300 animators and maybe 5 years of production, something like that. So it's not something doable in a production realistically. So even if motion capture was not available as a technology, doesn't mean that the studio will still produce those amount of hours of cinematic, because it will be impossible. Realistically, they will just reduce it, or maybe have no cinematic at all in a video game environment, for example. Okay, so that's exactly what you have to keep in mind. Also, because motion capture, guys, is very realistic. Okay, it tracks perfectly the human motion, but when you translate this one in 3D, it doesn't always work really well. Okay, sometimes sometimes you can be lucky and it works quite well. You have to tweak it very little, but in other cases there is still quite a lot to do. Okay, maybe some movement doesn't work as you expected, some gesture it doesn't really match anymore. You want to improve the hand pose and everything, especially in the face. Okay, because motion capture tracks perfectly our face, and maybe once you apply that kind of face animation to a different character, a 3D character that you're animating, it might not looks really good. Okay, if you just apply motion capture, it will look like kind of bland. Okay, because you don't have the level of appeal and exaggeration. So for example, I'm pretty sure, guys, you can see the difference between a studio who take a very generic character, maybe they do a scan 3D character, they apply a generic motion capture for the face and they don't touch it, compared to another studio who does a proper character design, 3D modeling, the rule of appeal, and they do a proper rig. Okay, and then they do like a lot of work creating those face expression, maybe for the library or something. So they look very appealing. It's not that just very generic. They push certain poses. They use the 12 principle of animation to create something solid, and then they apply it together with the motion capture. Okay, then create a completely different level of quality. So you see, all those things takes times, and takes animator as well doing the job together, using the motion capture technology. So it doesn't mean that just motion capture it will replace the job of animators. Of course, in the future, when the technology will become even better and better, there is a chance some studio, maybe they want to produce something very cheap, and they will just decide to use just motion capture as it is, upload it in their game, or if they're doing a movie or something. But you will see that eventually, it's not gonna be very interesting as a style. Just gonna be a copy of real life. Not very interesting to see. And if that's became very mainstream and everybody started using it, you could see that the quality would become very flat. And actually, you can already notice that, because right now 90% of the game studio already, when they use motion capture, they don't do a lot of work actually to improve it. And you'll notice, and when it comes purely to animation, 90% of the video game have the same flat style, which is not very interesting actually to look at it. It's very rare to see a game that have very nice and crafted animation, that people say, wow, my god, looks really nice, that stands out compared to the other one. You can see right now that there are more and more companies trying to do this, okay, to create animation that looks more artistic. Maybe that they have a visual that is not photorealistic, but is more cartoony, stylized, it could look like a painting or something. You know, and of course for those one you need good keyframe animators, and there is a chance that those things will increase in number. Okay, that people wanted to do something more and more artistic and not just copy real life. Okay, because you know, once the technology advances and it's so easy to make a video game that look like real life in terms of texture, polygons and everything, and then all the animation kind of look the same, it will start to look quite boring, frankly. So I think at some point they will need to push this kind of thing. You know, there's gonna be more and more company, they want to push for a certain style. Okay, and this is only for video game, guys, because if you think about feature film, yes, there are some feature film visual effects that use motion capture, but there are still a lot of studio that want to do something more artistic. If you think about Sony, Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, you know, they use their own style, okay, that is very snappy, very cartoony. It's something definitely that you cannot do with motion capture. Okay, I mean, maybe you can start with motion capture, but then you have to change it so much that it might be actually worth it with keyframe if you have a good keyframe animator. Okay, and but that's the thing, like those animation are more fun, more fun to watch, more entertaining. You know, if you look Spider-Man Into the Verse, forget about doing that one with motion capture. You want to do Angry Birds, well, you're not gonna do that one with motion capture, right? Same all the Disney movie and everything, they have a level of quality and polish that definitely motion capture cannot reach. Or maybe it can reach, but as I said, it will take so much work to have the same level. And that's the thing, in general, with keyframe animation, there is a level of control that you can have that you cannot definitely have with motion capture. But again, there is these things where if you do everything by keyframe, you know, you can only do like a movie that is an hour and a half. When it's with motion capture, you can do cinematic for a video game of 20 hours. Okay, so there is this kind of balance. I think things at some point will change. Okay, maybe in the future people will want to see more quality rather than quantity. Okay, I'm personally one of the guys that even when I play a video game, I do not really enjoy to see 20 hours of dialogue or cinematic when the quality is not that good. Okay, I'd rather have only 2 hours of well-written, enacted animation. Okay, and I know eventually things will shift in that direction. Maybe it will take a little bit of time. And other things you want to keep in mind when it comes to motion capture. Yes, you can copy the body animation and everything, but if you want to create a sequence that is very dynamic, and you have like those superhero character jumping from building to building like the Spider-Man and things like that, well, it's gonna be very difficult to do that with motion capture, and you need really good animator who understand body mechanics to do those things. Creature as well. Okay, yes, you can do a motion capture of a dog, of a horse and everything, but it's always very difficult to control, right? Because you can directly control a real animal, right? So in this case, it's good to have animators who knows how to animate creature, especially if you want to have a sequence with a human and a creature at the same time interacting. Those are really challenging, and using necessary motion capture, it might not be a good solution. So there's all those things to keep in mind, guys, and for all those reasons, I don't think motion capture will ever actually replace keyframe animation. I think it's kind of not ridiculous. I mean, it's just two things that can live at the same time. Okay, it doesn't mean that one is going to replace the other one. And it's also about TV series, for example. Okay, there is always going to be cartoon TV series, like anime or just 3D one, that obviously they won't have the budget for motion capture, because at the moment there's still a certain cost, and so obviously those jobs will never gone. So that's all the things you want to keep in consideration when it comes to this topic. But maybe, who knows, guys, because now we have keyframe animation, we have motion capture, but we don't know if, I don't know, in 10-15 years a new technology will come along that will change completely this industry. Same things would happen when 2D shift from 2D to 3D. Okay, I guess the first 2D animator could never think about this kind of change, right? And that's what happened. A lot of 2D animators, they kind of lose their job because they didn't adapt to the new technology. So who knows if in 10-15 years it will happen the same things. Some people talking about using animation VR, using the VR set to animate. I'm not entirely sure about that because it doesn't look very user friendly, but who knows, okay? Maybe in 10 years something new comes along and I will change my mind. So my suggestion will be, don't give up on animation just because you're afraid that there's not gonna be job. I think there is still plenty of job. For now, there's still gonna be in the future because entertaining industry is growing more and more every year. But maybe what you can do is keep an eye always on the new technology and how can you adapt yourself to those technology and adapt your skill and your know-how so you can always stay on top of the game, right? That's what is most important at the end. And last things I want to mention, guys, if you're always afraid about these things, it's always good to explore other skills that are still related to the 3D and animation. For example, you could learn a little bit of layout, how to place the camera compared to the character, the staging. You can learn how to handle an entire sequence, okay? Instead of just doing, your 10 seconds animation for one specific shot, you can start to learn how to make that animatic, okay? Where you have like a 1 minute, 1 minute 30 of a sequence, and you handle everything from camera to character, okay? Maybe the character animation doesn't need to be very polished because in that case you're studying the whole sequence, right? I would say those skills can be very beneficial because if one day you're looking for a job, maybe you don't have a job, and maybe there is a studio looking for someone who knows how to manage motion capture and deal with camera as well, those skills will become very handful to you, okay guys? So this is also things you want to keep in consideration, okay? So don't worry, I don't think the animation industry is gonna die because of the rise of motion capture, okay? You can sleep well, I would say. But yeah, let's keep an eye on the next technology, guys, and see you soon with the next topic. Ciao!